Hello and welcome to my world and a casual review. This week we're talking about Star Wars The Force Unleashed, which I played for the first time back in October of 2023. So one of the first things that stood out for me about this game was its visuals. The cutscenes, character models, backgrounds, special effects, environmental effects such as they were all stood out to me for a game that from the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era. It's like its visuals still hold up. Especially the 360 version, which is the version I played via backward because it's backwards compatible with Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles. So, having a more powerful machine play an older game is like okay, like cool. It's like nothing nothing really gets lost. If anything, these days it looks like a budget release title, which is it's actually a compliment. It's like for an older game, it's like okay, it looks like it would be something you would pay like 15-20 bucks for, off like the like on Steam or the PlayStation Network or the Xbox Online stores. Like okay, it's like a cheap little like action adventure 3D adventure game. From me, my standpoint of view, it that's a compliment to it for how good it looks. I mean, it's like you can't really compare games from 15 years ago to the stunning visuals that you will see today. It's like you can't compare this to say Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You just can't. It's like they're literally two generations apart. Uh so so that is like the visuals. I was amazed with how good this game looked. Control wise, very responsive for the most part. I did have an issue with the jumping mechanics of the game, which were really exposed on certain platform jumping, trying to find holocrons or trying to get to certain areas within the game. It's like you have a double jump and sometimes like don't really get the best camera angle. So that's like a knock against it there. Again, specifically on jumping, but when it comes to like button presses and like little combinations as you unlock various combos through the course of the game, it's like okay, everything is responsive for the most part. So you get if I was to grade the controls, I'll give it like a 90 out of 100 there. So just to put it mildly, because the one thing I had issue with was the jumping. Music, sound effects. Obviously, you can't hear it because it's my commentary, my video, and how I do these things here. Sound effects, sound design, voice acting for the most part, exceptionals. Like the person doing the voice of Darth Vader, near as I can tell, is the same person who did the voice for Darth Vader in Soul Calibur 5, I believe. That's where Vader popped up in. Not 100% sure, but I think it's the same. I think it's the same person. I didn't bother to look it up. I'm not all that curious, but it sounded kind of similar, at least to my ears, and my ears are it's like I'm over 40 at this point, so it's like yeah, I'm going deaf, like we all are at when you reach a certain point in age. Now music, and I will say this: I have a strong disdain for Star Wars games because of the music. Because I will allow, at this point, I will allow for only two specific pieces of star music from the Star Wars movies to be in the video games. One is the Imperial March, and the other is the big Star Wars is the theme. The theme that you hear during the opening crawl. Right, those are the only two pieces of Star Wars music that should be in every other video game. There is no fucking reason for stuff like Duel of the Fates from like the Phantom Menace, or like music associated with Queen Amidala, or or other musical pieces from the films. popping up in game after game after game after game after game. I get it that they're iconic and they were like really big and impressive scores done by John Williams. But guess what? You know what the worst part about them is? Is that when you're playing a game on Twitch, guess what happens to the Twitch VOD? You get a whole bunch of stuff muted. What happens when you port a Twitch stream is to YouTube? You have to go back through and mute every single section that gets flagged for it because of the copyright detection. I am certainly, again, outside of two pieces of music, the Star Wars theme and the Imperial March, no other pieces of Star Wars music from that franchise, from the films, should be popping up in any freaking game. There is no reason for it, because for the most part, it's like you get music that would be properly scored for the game. Would actually fit the moods a lot better, in my personal opinion. I mean, it's like it's kind of like not to mention that they get so repetitive too. So again, that's just my personal viewpoint. So again, the music, I could really take it or leave it. Difficulty settings, you get a nice variety of difficulty settings for, and again, I'm a casual gamer, so I'm always going to play things on the easiest difficulty settings. But I could tell, particularly in the latter stages, when playing it, that on just normal, and certainly the two harder difficulty settings, obviously one is like, was it Sith Master is the because it goes Apprentice, Sith Warrior, Sith something, and Sith Master, something to that effect. I could tell that as you go along in this game, the difficulties certainly would rack up, because there was a few elements in there, even on this easiest difficulty, that I had some trouble with. Number one, first and foremost, is like, when you are trapped in an area where you have a shit ton of enemies swarming on you, um, that can be problematic even on the easiest difficulty setting, because you will get swarmed around, and some enemies have some really cheap attacks and hit stuns that will knock Starkiller down, and he has a very painfully slow recovery animation that would just allow enemies to just gang up on them. So on the easiest difficulty setting, okay, you do more damage and the enemies have less health, so you can get your health back quickly because you have that nice little absorbing life gimmick throughout the course of the game. But on stuff like, say, the whole pulling down the Star Destroyer sequence, and you have to fend off the various TIE fighters that come your way, yeah, I can imagine just how much of a pain in the ass that would be on normal difficulty, or the two harder difficulties. It's like there has to be a reason why not too many people fully completed this particular game. It's like, just saying, just looking what I see on the on like true achievements in terms of like those who've actually completed it, from those who actually started playing it. Story wise, fitting, this game takes place sometime before episode 4, A New Hope. And you get like a rough idea when certain things take place, because of how Princess Leia is depicted as being kind of close to how, kind of like a little bit younger than how Carrie Fisher appeared in the A New Hope. And it's like, depending on that, because again, I'm judging it based on visuals from the Xbox 360 era of it. Again, they hold up, but kind of not exactly sure how far of it as a time gap goes. But the story in itself is pretty self-contained. You get like Starkiller's initial origin story, the time skip to where like Vader picks him up, and then the time skip to where he's older, like already trained and like to be used as a tool by Vader. and like you get a few interesting plot twists here and there. It's like where Vader goes out of his way to betray Starkiller not once but twice, and you get a few nice little Easter egg moments, like with some of the various little characters. Proxy can transform into any character, so he pops up twice as Obi-Wan. In fact, like that was a nice little touch that first time you meet Proxy, he appears as Obi-Wan. In his last appearance is like where he tries to lend a hand, is also as Obi-Wan. So that's a cool little thing there. Um, the various planets you go to, kind of neat and everything. A little bit cheap that you hit the same planet and it's almost in reverse order. Like from the beginning to the game, you reach a certain points and then you hit those same planets in reverse order. That's kind of like a big cheap there, but also making use of almost the same environments. The various boss fights were kind of cool. There was nice little gimmicks. I could have done without the quick time events, but that was the style at the time. But everything does fit the narrative. If you were to adapt, take everything from the Force Unleashed and it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to convert it into like a movie with like, okay, with some stuff obviously chopped out that would be filler, and some certain things expanded upon for like a character development and adjusting the story, such as Juno and Starkiller's relationship, as it were, the crush he has on her clearly developing feelings for him. He's like there's a whole bunch of character elements that would have, make you feel more for the character, that would have helped develop a more of an emotional interest in the various characters. But for what it is, it's a fine little self-contained story. It does have two endings. One clearly canonical, Starkiller, helping the rebel leaders escape and defeating Vader and subsequently defeating quote unquote the Emperor. As we all know, Palpatine is like a cockroach. He always pops up, which is mostly due to lazy writing by those who currently own the Star Wars franchise, Disney. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I coughed. Would I play this game again? Probably. Maybe try it on the harder difficulty and just to grind out various achievements. If like all your upgrades and stuff carry over to playing it on a harder difficulty, I could definitely see myself playing it again because I would have that like initial advantage of all the work I've already put into it. But beyond that, a lot of achievements are really grind heavy, like defeat X amount of enemies with certain powers and abilities, or in a certain fashion. That's where a lot of the achievement list is kind of geared to. Now, this game did have some DLC expansions. I didn't play them. I certainly didn't purchase them, didn't download them, so I really have no comments on that particular aspect of it. But near as I can tell, it's just supplemental material to again get more out of the game. That was a pretty modest hit. Now, at the time I'm recording this, I didn't have Star Wars Force Unleashed 2 on my lineup of games to play, but I do intend to play that, and I understand that it's kind of worse than the first game, just by its reputation. But I am kind of curious to see where it goes story wise. Cause I know Star Killer basically comes back in that game as like a clone, from what I understand. So, but hopefully when we get around to it, of course we will talk about it here on this pokey little YouTube channel of mine. So with that said, thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to support the channel, you can. I have it. You can do so via my Stream Elements tip link that's in the description below, as well as all my social media links. So with that said, tighten your friendship bracelets, stay safe, have a good one, and we see y'all in the next video. Bye.